Welcome to another edition of the Hispanic Patriot, a weekly vodcast broadcast live from a secret, undisclosed location deep behind enemy lines here in Denver, Colorado. Here we speak the truth and nothing but the truth, so help us God. And now without further ado, here's our co-host and host, Nick Razzo and Hugo Chavez Ray. Give it up for Nick and Hugo.
All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Hispanic Patriot. We are live from Denver, Colorado Springs, and Castle Rock. Tonight we have a very special guest. I'm going to talk briefly about what we did this past week at the Colorado GOP State Assembly. We had a great assembly, in my opinion, probably the best run assembly in the last 20 years, and I've been to every one since the year 2000. So there's a lot of detractors, of course, but we're not going to talk about them. We're not going to give them any time.
We're going to have a positive show today.
That's right. We're going to talk about what took place. We elected a new National Committee woman, Christy Ruckus from Pueblo. Looks like she's going to take over now and be the new National Committee woman, along with Randy Corcoran, who was reelected as the National Committee man.
So we're going to bring the ruckus, from what I hear.
Bring the ruckus, yeah. It's going to be interesting to see, what the change brings, but I'm encouraged by what's going on. I want to just give a shout out to Vera Ortegon for her service for the past 8 years. I believe she's done a great job. It was time to make a change, I guess, according to the people. So the people spoke, and we have a new National Committee woman, but that's no detraction from the job that Vera did. So Vera, if you're watching, thank you very much for your service. We know you're going to stick around and be involved in the party, and we look forward to seeing you around in some of the events.
Always remember that, people. We need every one of you.
Yes. So tonight we have a really good guest. I am privileged to be friends with his new wife, Priscilla, whom I've been a friend with the last 2 or 3 years. She's a very, very active Hispanic lady. She and Tig met, and the Lord took care of the rest. They fell in love, got engaged, and were married this past December. So we wish them the best in their new matrimony.
Absolutely.
So for those of you that are not familiar with John, we're going to talk a little bit about what he's done, but he is one of the heroes of Benghazi, and he basically was there. He was there. He knows all the details. He wrote a book about that. I'm going to read that in his bio here real quick. So John leverages over 13 years of high-profile security and force protection expertise within contract and government agencies, along with his military experience as a Marine sergeant, to bring a powerful, thought-provoking, and engaging presentation of his firsthand account of the Benghazi attacks to his audiences. As a former military sergeant, the infantry squad leader, John applied his military training as a security protection contractor for Blackwater Security on missions in Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Iraq. His work as part of the Central Intelligence Agency's Global Response Staff would change his life forever. An integral team member, taking part in over 40 overseas deployments, providing low-profile security in high-threat environments throughout the world, culminated in unexpected recognition on a global scale. As the most experienced annex security team member for CIA's GRS, he was an essential part of the rapid response to the terrorist attack on September 11, 2012. Most of you remember that. When Islamic militants attacked the American diplomatic compound in Benghazi, Libya, killing 4 Americans, including Ambassador Christopher Stevens, Information Officer Sean Smith, and 2 CIA operatives, Glenn Doherty and Tyrone Woods, both former Navy SEALs. In motivational, riveting, and inspirational presentations, John shares his intense story, relaying his own actions, which directly saved the lives of many of his own team and the combined heroic efforts of his team in saving over 24 lives while fighting off terrorists for over 13 hours. John received the award for heroism and valor in recognition of his bravery. John is the co-author of 13 Hours, the inside account of what really happened in Benghazi, in collaborations with members of the Annex Security. And the, the team and the New York Times bestselling author Mitchell Sluckoff was the co-author. He was instrumental in providing real-life experiences as a consultant on the movie 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi. I saw the movie, and I'm sure a lot of you did. John also assisted with the movie script and set design. Having retired from contract work, the married father of twins, enjoys being at home in Colorado. John continues to share his knowledge and skill with organizations and the military community as a consultant, trainer, and professional speaker. To contact John regarding speaking to your organization or group, please email him at jtiegen@gmail.com. So we're waiting for John to arrive. But in the meantime, we're going to discuss a little bit about what we'd like to discuss with John. John has a wealth of knowledge and experience, and we want to let him explain the details of what he does or doesn't do. So I'm not going to speak for him. But you know, the story is a fascinating story. It was one of the biggest disasters, in my opinion, of the Hillary Clinton
Absolutely.
Secretary of State administration in the Obama years. And I think that what took place was a tragedy, but it was a total fiasco on the part of the administration and the Secretary of State.
I couldn't agree more. I actually, myself, I had started in politics in 2010. So Benghazi was only 2 years after that. And I actually wanted to be a diplomat for the State Department when I was growing up. I loved the beatitude, blessed are the peacemakers. So I wanted to be a peacemaker. And I saw, our diplomatic corps is a big part of that. But then when I saw how they could just be thrown away, I mean, these are people who are trained for many years, and the selection process is very rigorous. These are some of our best that were abandoned, including the security teams, who are also just amazing warriors for our diplomatic services. And I think it's very obvious from a military perspective that they were abandoned. We had resources to put to their defense, and we didn't do that the right way. Well, I shouldn't say we should say Obama and Hillary Clinton, who I don't really think they would agree that we are quite one of them. Would you say, Hugo?
Yeah.
It's very unfortunate. They didn't see these men the same way as we do, as heroic warriors. It's a very big shame that our administration couldn't see that. But
yeah. So it looks like we may need to resend the link to Tig. See if are you reaching out to him, Peter?
Oh, you see, there are some people who don't want to hear this. And we'll probably definitely mention this with Tig himself, but I thought it was disgraceful what Obama went to the UN and said in defense of this. Of course, he blamed internet videos instead of the people who actually claimed credit for the attack. But he went to the UN and he said, the future must not belong to those who slander the Prophet of Islam. And to me, as an American at the time, I thought, why would you say that like that? Why would you say something with such admiration of a group of people who just attacked your people? It made no sense. It really made no sense to me at all. And that's when I just lost complete faith in whatever the Obama administration could possibly be. I said, okay, Mitt Romney lost. Let's try to be Americans here. That's where I lost that feeling of sportsmanship.
Remember when Hillary was running for president?
I try not to.
And one of her ads was, when the phone rings at 3 a.m., who's going to answer it?
Not you if it's a consulate under attack. Like,
apparently it wasn't her.
It was. Oh no! You know what she said that really, really, really upset me is she went testifying in front of Congress, and she at one point got frustrated. She goes, "What difference does it make?" And it's like I had never seen someone with such lack of accountability in such a high position. And then when that woman wanted to be our president, no. Especially 2012 was a very difficult time for America. I mean, we had that. We had the Benghazi attack. We had Fast and Furious, which we could do a whole episode about that fiasco. We're still picking up the pieces from the Obama administration. We really are. And I wish people would realize that. My generation had a lot of hope put into us for Obama. And that was really where I discovered that you can't trust what people want you to believe. You have to understand the truth of what people believe and allow yourself to echo that in life. That's the greatest of victories right there. And those are victories that people like Obama and Clinton will never have.
Yeah, it was just an amazing display of, I don't know how to put it kindly, but she basically sold our people out, and it showed no remorse, showed no compassion.
And she also, people forget that through her various channels is that she made a killing selling uranium to Russia. So if we all get nuked by Russia, it's partially Hillary Clinton's fault. Like, this woman has damaged the world so much. I say that as somebody who is not suicidal and
yeah,
the whole bit, you all know. I think if people started their political careers or political interests during the Trump era, during 2016, and we quite literally, I think, kind of the people who started in 2016, they never experienced the horror under Obama and Clinton. People who are just coming into the political scene now should research that. I would encourage anyone, research that time, because that was the time where American politics dropped in terms of standards. People want to talk about Donald Trump bringing down standards of presidential competence, character, whatever you want to call it. No, Obama carried down that standard really far, really fast, and couldn't give two rat's tails about the long-term consequences.
Yeah.
But the Democrats reaped them in Donald Trump. So maybe they should worry about that. The next Donald Trump might be worse for them. They'll be begging for Donald Trump to come back.
Yeah, it's just amazing, the lack of clarity that the administration had with regards to that fiasco. I mean, instead of trying to care for the people who were killed and the people who were damaged as a result of that attack, they decided to circle the wagons and tried to paint a picture that was totally false. I mean, it wasn't it wasn't even close. And they kept on with that narrative. And of course, the media ran with it. And then they arrested the guy.
They did.
They arrested the poor guy. So in America, in Obama's America, you're not allowed to make a video mocking anybody. I mean, that's not a First Amendment issue at all, right? I mean, come on.
No, people have to understand something about the First Amendment is you have the right to be an anti-conformist, to say, you know what, I'm gonna take those sacred cows of yours, and I'm gonna do some stuff with them. I'm gonna make sure that you understand that we in America, we always have to defend what we believe in, because we are all very different in our beliefs. But that's okay, because we have what was called a harmony, something where no matter where your voice is, you can contribute to the greater whole. And Obama said he was all about that, all about diversity, all about this nonsense, etc. It was nonsense to him. We believed in it, and yet the Republicans were called racist for opposing Obama. It was an insane time, people. If you don't remember 2012, it was very ridiculous, very kind of unfun. Hugo, would you say that Trump's era is a bit more fun than previous Republican eras, or did you have a lot more fun in certain other ones?
Well, I mean, the Trump years were incredible.
Like a big carnival.
I saw a man who basically, wasn't beholding to anyone, and from the very beginning, he was under attack, by the left. So it's
Speaking of a man who knows what to do under attack.
John.
Welcome, John. Welcome, Tig.
Welcome, John. I've already read your bio, so everybody knows all about you.
We've been talking about you. Good.
I'm used to people talking smack about me. I get it.
Out of all the people we would talk smack about that we would invite on the show, you would be the furthest from the list with what we know that you're capable of, my friend.
We want to welcome you to the Hispanic Patriot podcast, and thank you very much for doing this, because you are without a doubt one of our most famous guests. So we're deeply grateful for you coming on the show and telling your story. So we want to give you a little bit of introduction, but I want you to just kind of open up with a little bit of what you'd like to tell the people.
I really have no idea. I just depends on what you guys want to hear about.
No, I'm talking about yourself. Give us a little background. How you came about, joining the service.
I'll tell you how I actually came about. But that's going to be a long one right there. So yeah, I mean, since a kid, I always wanted to join the military. Ended up out of high school, joined the Marine Corps.
Hoorah!
And did that for 4 years. Then I actually went into heating and air conditioning for about 4 years.
Okay.
That job, it's really good pay, but there's always that something that, it's, a lot of vets say there's something missing. Because again, a lot of people think it's always about the money while you go contracting. Not really. I hated it. Again, really good pay. But so then I started contracting, and really just kind of took off from there. Did that for about 10 years, and now I actually did some speaking, did some 2-gun, 3-gun competition after Benghazi, and now I'm actually doing training over at DCF Guns and down in Colorado Springs.
Oh, yeah. Very nice. You're in my neck of the woods then, my friend.
Yep.
Very cool.
Do you guys live in the Springs?
Yeah, I've been here since I was 8.
Okay.
Beautiful.
So I've known Priscilla for a couple of years now, and she's a great lady, and she and I have been friends, and I know she's been an activist in a lot of the activity in the party and other issues that she's got a passion for. So when you guys got together, I thought it was a match made in heaven. So do you know, just quickly, do you know Raymond Garcia? Have you met him?
Sounds familiar. I mean, I met so many people. My problem with the TB, because I got a TBI, so if I don't really meet people for about 4 or 5 times,
sure.
Yeah,
I feel that.
The reason I mentioned it, he's also a Marine.
Okay.
And he would love to have stories with you. He was actually in Mogadishu.
Okay.
Yeah.
So sometimes.
Yeah, that was. We've had some good conversations. I'm an Air Force vet, so I stayed out of the fray.
I almost joined the Marines. I was really close. I had a lot of friends in the military, and they said, "Nick, you're the designated survivor." I said, "Why is that?" It's like, "You're the one with a wife that wants to have a lot of kids with you." I'm like, "Okay, fair enough." But sir, I just wanted to say you're definitely somebody that I appreciate very much. I started in politics in 2010, and I wanted to be a diplomat for the State Department. I loved the beatitude, "Blessed are the peacemakers," and I wanted to be a peacemaker. But then I saw that happen, and I thought I should probably try to help my country before we start making peace between other ones. We got to keep our house in order. And thank you for, just to start off with, thank you for defending and saving the lives that you helped to do, you and your team.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Well, we were talking before you came on. We were talking a little bit about what we remember about Benghazi in 2012, and in particular, the thing that really stuck with me was the administration's narrative that the whole thing was orchestrated because of a guy that made a video that was disrespectful of Muhammad. So, give us your take on that and what you think of how the things were handled, and give us a little more background about. And I've seen the movie, but I know in movies you have to be more how shall we
Condensed, probably.
finessed. Yeah, I'm sure they didn't put everything in the movie.
I mean, for the most part, they kind of did. That just
Nice.
a lot of things just didn't happen in the way they put the movie.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So I would say the beginning of it up until that night was pretty much kind of made up. I think it was just kind of like a filler to try
Like a story kind of thing, probably.
just try to build it up and stuff, because they had the whole gun running thing initially that was coming out. I think that part was like in the movie. They had me there, and I'm like thinking I definitely wasn't there for any of that. So, just being honest, I just wasn't there. Maybe Tom or the other guys were, but I didn't see any of it.
Yeah.
As for the video guy, that's pretty much the scapegoat. It started a bunch of protests and stuff across the world, especially in the Middle East. Well, not across the world, the Middle East.
Uh-huh.
Egypt got hit pretty hard. They were the embassy there was overrun, I think, in like 8 hours prior to when we were even attacked. So for one thing, I mean, just for the fact that even happened, and they said there was no real assets in the area. Egypt's really not that far from Benghazi. I mean,
it's the border across. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a couple-hour drive, really. So for them to say that no assets were in the area just for that alone, just kind of goes to show you that they're inept in doing their job. They have, I mean, just nothing was being sent for the embassy in Egypt, being overrun. Yeah, there was no Americans there at the time, but that's not the point. That's considered U.S. soil.
Yeah.
But is it true that Ambassador Stevens requested reinforcements?
Well, it really wasn't even just him. It was also even the other security details. So I was there to kind of open up the embassy up in Tripoli. It wasn't the State Department that actually found it and opened it up. It was us that found it and opened it and located and stuff like that. Then we made it safe so they could fly in and do their whatever they do. So they had a big contingency down at Benghazi at the time. It was 8 acres. That was considered the embassy for that period until it finally got fully open. They had the security in place. Then they started getting the security in place, and then the staff finally moved from Benghazi up to Tripoli. And when they did, they took the bulk of the security, which was a lot of contractors at the time, because they really didn't have the State Department personnel, and their State Department personnel are kind of worthless, really, because they're called diplomatic security for a reason. They're diplomats first, security second. That's just the truth. And I mean, not all of them are horrible, but when they don't come from a actual protection security background,
it's hard to engage in military maneuvers when you don't have military training.
They have a different mentality, different thinking process and stuff. But so then they moved up. Benghazi, the consulate stayed open, and it was always lacking security personnel. So it really wasn't just the ambassadors, even the staffers that would rotate, like every 30 to 60 days out of there were like, we need more personnel, we need more heavy firepower, we need better security fighting positions, just just enhancing the security inside the compound, not really the outside what they wanted, more of an interior in case, because they knew they're going to get overrun if something did happen, because the walls were not blast resistant whatsoever. I mean, the second time that consul got attacked, they blew a Volkswagen wagon size hole inside the wall. Just
a couple months beforehand too. Like it really should have been a wake up call.
Yeah, I mean, they kept saying it was more of a disgruntled 17 Feb employee, but I think it was actually 17 Feb themselves just kind of probing what the response would be, either from us or from other groups that they didn't know about.
Wow.
And when nobody came, they kind of knew that they had open season on the consulate.
They could storm it.
Yep. Because the first time it wasn't really attacked the first time, but it was considered attack. You know, somebody threw a couple grenades over the wall. It was like a drive-by grenade versus drive-by shooting.
Dang. It really is a different world out there.
Yeah. But for the video, I mean, it was just a sham because it had nothing to do with, but it had things to do with the other part of the world, or like, you know, Egypt and all those other places, but had nothing to do with Benghazi. I mean, for one, who starts a protest at 9:00 at night without media?
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Very, very true.
I mean, really, the terrorists really don't even attack unless there's media. They actually tell them beforehand. So, I mean, I was
Absolutely.
of them where the media was there, you know, before the attack started, had the cameras all set up, and literally had the V-bids going off. Had them through. So it's insane. So again, normally they would call them, but it's in the daytime. It's not at night, so they want to catch everything.
Right.
So this was just a straight up sneaky attack.
So
and you guys were fighting for a long time. We know that.
In your opinion, was it a long planned?
It was. There's another book. So OD, one of the other GRS guys, they partnered up with Sarah, which she was a targeter for CIA. She was actually there in Benghazi. She had left that morning to go whack somebody else or something like that. So she wasn't there when we got attacked. But they actually did another book together because they kept actually researching who attacked us and stuff like that, you know, in the pre-planning, because the FBI didn't give a shit. Sorry, I don't know if I can cuss.
That's okay.
FBI didn't care.
Not controlled by the FCC on
Hispanics here swear since we're 5 years old. You know, it's totally fine.
And, you know, the State Department, they didn't really. It seemed like nobody actually truly cared. Nobody gave a crap what really happened or why it happened and who really did it. And to me, I mean, the FBI shouldn't have been involved anyways. To me, it was a military attack. And, you know, their book actually proves it was a straight up attack. It was Al-Qaeda. Actually, it was like seven or six different Al-Qaeda groups came together to do the attack, plan the attack, which has never happened in the history of AQ, ever. So it was planned months prior. I think the ambassador being there was just cream on the top.
Like bait for him almost.
Sorry, cherry on the top, yeah. So I think it was planned that day, rather if he was there or not. Because honestly, we thought we were going to be attacked on the 13th versus the 11th because one of the ceremonies he was going to be at was publicly known, and this location was just miserable. We advanced it probably about 3 weeks prior to him coming in, man, and there was nothing we could have done. I mean, we probably all got whacked if they'd hit us there.
Well, God has a plan for everybody, I suppose.
Yep, that's for sure.
So regarding Secretary Clinton, and was she the one that had the authority, or was it the president that had the authority on the reaction? That's something I've never been able to discern.
Well, I think when I understand, Obama told him to do whatever you have to do, kind of a thing, and I guess he went to Vegas and partied. I think
there was a Democrat convention at the time. He was campaigning, but it's 9/11. Like, you got to worry about that date. And I know from a couple of details that he was missing his daily intelligence briefings and all this kind of stuff. Just an empty suit for you guys, unfortunately.
So, but technically, it would fall under Hillary Clinton, because it was State Department's mission. It wasn't a military mission at all. So
Right.
everything fell underneath the State Department. Maybe it could have been up to the ambassador, but the communication was kind of cut off with the ambassador pretty early on. But they should have known kind of the situation that was going on prior. I mean, I wasn't, an intel officer. I never went to never went to those Ivy League colleges, but you could definitely tell that it was getting pretty hectic down there. Consulate had just been attacked too much prior. They were attacking public officials, kidnapping police chiefs, all kinds. I mean, Iranians were coming in and doing all kinds of kidnappings. And, all kinds of stuff was happening, and so it was just kind of, it was more like what I like to explain at that time. Because again, my third trip in Benghazi, it felt more like you're in Chicago, like in the 40s.
That's my home city. Yep.
With the mob was running around doing their thing.
You can feel how bad it is. You can literally, it's in the air.
Yep.
So, I'm sure you have a military instinct for it, my friend. Is that you know when things are gonna get heated up.
Yeah, and plus, the CIA. I mean, they're pretty much lying to us, the security guys, about Al Qaeda being there. We were trying to follow the Al Qaeda guys, and they tell us, no, you can't do that.
You can't do your job.
So it's like, that's not why we're here. It's like, this is freaking.
Well, it's gonna be why you're here. Like it's.
Well, that's why we left, anyways.
All right, may I ask you a question? Actually, do you think that that our government has enough understanding of what it means to be in the military to understand what you guys are actually going through, or do you think that our politicians are very separated from the experience you guys have in protecting American soil?
I definitely think politicians are clueless on what's going on. Military personnel, I think a lot of them are becoming clueless of what's going on. I mean, this whole woke crap is destroying.
You guys are warriors, not social justice warriors.
We probably haven't been this weak as a military, honestly, probably since the revolution, and then we had no military. That's pretty much where we are. I mean, we have the technology and stuff like that, but you got so many good guys that are leaving that they're just done.
Well, the same thing. I'm old enough to remember the Jimmy Carter area, and he decimated the military, and that's one of the reasons the Iranians took all those hostages back then. And I remember clearly, and I'm a former Democrat, full disclosure, but when I heard Ronald Reagan at a speech in 1979, it was like a switch went off, and the rest is history. I was in Texas at the time. I signed up for Ronald Reagan's campaign, and the rest is history. So, but I remember clearly one of the things in Reagan's campaign was he was speaking to the Iranians, and he told them, he says, on Inauguration Day, 1980, if those hostages aren't released, you will pay the price. Basically, I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he was telling them. He says, prepare yourselves because I'm not Jimmy Carter. And what happened? The day he was inaugurated, within a couple of days, all the hostages are released. So that goes to show the importance of having a strong president, someone who doesn't, back down and take any guff. And that's why the world, I call them leaders, but they're despots, in my opinion. The people that don't like Trump and don't want him back in the White House is they know that he means business. And so that's one of the biggest things that I see when I was in Spain in October, and I was reading some of the local news and talking to some of the local people. And the minute they find out you're American, and I speak fluent Spanish, so, but they always relate the subject to Trump, and they always ask you, well, what do you think of Trump? And I told them, I said, I love Trump. And some of them would like that, and others would like, what? And so that's the kind of thing that I recall. So I think Obama did the same thing, not to the same level, I think, but almost as bad as Carter. in decimating the military. And now we've got this guy who's running the show, and like you said, he's turned the military into a joke, and a lot of people have left, and because they're like you, they're not going to sit around and be governed or be commanded by fools.
You can't tell soldiers to take it. That's not what they do.
I mean, how can you listen to somebody who doesn't even know if they're male or female, what bathroom to use? They're talking about people using pronouns. They're firing drill instructors for, I guess,
being drill instructors.
For being drill instructors. Yeah.
It's just like, that should be like one of the worst experience that a military individual should go through. And after that, it should start getting better. Besides,
John,
if they can't handle being called names in freaking boot camp, what's going to happen when they go to war?
Yeah,
I couldn't agree more.
They need to stop. They need to get rid of the cell phone crap in boot camp. They shouldn't have instant contact with their freaking family, because that's definitely going to be, a mental stress when they actually do go overseas and they don't have that instant contact, especially until the military sets up the cell phone and internet crap, so they can phone home right away.
I did basic training at Lackland Air Force Base in the middle of the summer.
Oh,
and people were falling left and right. Luckily, I grew up in South Florida, so I was used to the heat and humidity. But a lot of these people that were coming from northern states and stuff, they were just dropping like flies. I mean, it was ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, that's the kind of, they want the DI would come into the barracks with a trash can at 5 o'clock in the morning, pounding, and if you didn't fall out of bed at the second that you heard that, he had the can on top of your head.
Right?
Yeah.
You gotta move, man. It's it's life or death when you get woke up.
And
that's the thing right there.
I was on the top bunk.
John, I wanted to ask you, what as the kind of warrior you are. I was actually president of my military history club in my high school, and been just endless military history works, and also one of our favorite TV shows, Band of Brothers, of course. I think you might remember when Spears comes and says, "We're all scared, but you have to accept the fact you're already dead," or the training that they had at Currahee and all that. Yeah. I was wondering, why do you think that people misunderstand what military experience is like? It's very much, obviously, you're in the face of death. You have to accept things in situations that most humans will never have to. And it seems like people who sometimes go into the military today don't fully appreciate what they might have to do. So I wanted to ask you, why do you think people have difficulty in putting themselves in the military mindset? And how did you gain such a military mindset?
Honestly, because this nation's been pussified.
Good answer.
That's really what it is. I mean,
that's a great answer. Yeah.
I mean, you get yelled at for spanking your kid. I was watching something, and this grandpa smacked his granddaughter because she was sitting there cussing out her grandma at the middle of the floor. And people were like video complaining about, he's abusing his daughter. So that's the problem. There's no discipline. There's no respect.
No discipline. That's the truth.
And that's where a lot of these people that go in, they even if they get through boot camp for some reason, some of them shouldn't even get through, but they need the numbers now. But they feel like they're entitled. Like, why do I have to listen to this, gunnery sergeant who's been through, 10 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan? What the hell's he know? I know more than he does. I went through. It's just that entitlement thing. I think that's the biggest freaking.
And that's ridiculous too, because if you don't have people that you could look up to that's up in your command, you're gonna die. If you don't respect your commanders, if you don't feel like you can, even on a basic level, because you think you're such hot, whatever, you're gonna put your life at risk. I'm sure, John, that you took and I know you did. You took your job very, very seriously. Mm-hmm. You had discipline, and these are things that I agree with you are completely absent in a lot of our country today. I was raised in thoroughbred horse racing myself, very equestrian, very knightly, as my dad brought me up. And he said, every time you go out in the world, you don't just represent yourself. Everything you are is represented in every action you take. Mm-hmm. So I definitely see that in you, my friend, is that you represent the warrior mentality very well.
I mean, eyes on, eyes off. It's It's everything. I mean, nobody's perfect, but you try
Oh,
the best you can. It goes back to I don't think a lot of things that we didn't know what was going on in our schools prior to. I mean, I think we kind of knew, but we didn't think it was that bad until 2020.
you didn't know for a fact.
And I think those safe spaces that were popping up, especially in the universities, was kind of started to really open the eyes in 2020. Then you got all this grooming and pronouns. That's a weakening of a nation. I mean, that's really pussifying of a nation. That's then
Right.
they don't want you to say the pledge. You don't have loyalty to the country that you belong to. You won't even have a country at all anymore.
Exactly.
I mean,
some people would call me a conspiracy theorist, but I firmly believe that all of that is happening is by design.
oh yeah,
It's a movement that has been festering within our nation for the better part of the last 50 years. I grew up in the 60s, and I saw the transformation starting back then even. And I lost three high school friends in Vietnam, and my best friend, I remember to this day, the night before he shipped out, he was a Marine. He had gone to Paris Island, and when he came home, right before he was deploying, I had that gut feeling that I wasn't going to see him again. And 3 months later, they brought him home, and we had to lay him to rest. But he was a hero. I mean, he dove on top of a grenade to save his buddies in a trench. So he was definitely here, and he was the kind of guy that would do something like that. But this whole what we're experiencing, what we're seeing, is a concerted effort to destroy this country from within, and that's why I fight. I just turned 75, and
He doesn't look like it though.
yeah, I don't. That's people tell me that. My daughter tells me that. But everything I do is for a purpose. I've been, working within this party that I like and love for 45 years in various capacities. I retired as chairman of the Colorado Hispanic Republicans a year ago, January, and 2 months later, I was having open heart surgery. I had a quadruple bypass, and it was God talking to me. The doctor, when I went in, the doctor was look at me and he says, I don't know how you're still alive. He came back. He said, you have 10 blockages.
wow.
And we need to go in. And by in, he meant. And so I went in on a Friday. Monday, they did the bypass, and I spent the better part of last year recovering. So everything happens for a reason, I believe. I think God wasn't quite done with me yet. So I've had this podcast on my mind for a long time because I wanted to use it as a platform to reach Hispanic voters and others that are basically not getting the facts about all the issues. But I want to segue real quick into something that I know you're involved with right now, and that is the Second Amendment issues. Talk to us a little bit about what this runaway legislature has been involved with in the last few months.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, they
It's a
just
hot mess.
passed that one bill
It's just mind-boggling everything that they try to do. A lot of stuff won't even pass the Supreme Court when it gets to them.
Right.
But to me, they're just a lot of it's just a lot of wasted time and money for Colorado and its residents. And because you got to take time, for me, I try to go, but usually I'm working, I'm training somebody, or I'll try to get online, at least do remote. But half the time you can't even get on there, which is good because there's so many freaking people trying to get on. I mean, I'll wait. I sat on from beginning to the end to even get on. Because they cut it off in 12 hours. Some of this again. I don't think we need any gun laws. We don't need any of them. We don't need any restriction. We should all be able to conceal carry if we want to conceal carry, open carry if we want to open carry. But with that being said, the only thing that I kind of agree with was their new carry law. At least get the permit. You have the gun. You get the you have the gun quals, which is probably going to open it up for all 50 states for us. Besides the ones that are, abide by the Constitution, just allows you to carry anyways. But if they're going to violate our rights, at least we'll be able to violate our rights in all 50 states so we can carry. Other than that, it's pathetic. They're taking they don't see the reality of life. It was really kind of even with Benghazi or what's even going on in the military. They don't see the reality of life.
Very true.
Zones where they block you from actually carrying a firearm, it doesn't keep people safe. It keeps them. They're they're in a lot more danger. To me, like these businesses, these malls and stuff like that. If you're going to start blaming the gun shops, the gun manufacturers, holding them reliable, holding an owner liable for a gun that gets stolen, why aren't these businesses being held liable for not having proper security there when they don't allow you to carry and protect yourself from these types of violences? To me, why aren't people turning around suing these businesses that are stopping people, or these schools, or the government and stuff like that are making these laws not allowing you to carry where you should be able to carry? Yeah. Good thing the Senate, you had to brain and dropped it from the churches, which that'll just made the churches even more dangerous to go to. Honestly, I carry everywhere I go. It's not breaking the law till you get caught. That's what I tell everybody I train. You're not breaking the law till you get caught. It's your life. You deal with how you want to deal with it. If you got to pull a gun and take someone's life that's trying to take multiple people's lives, and you're supposed to be in a gun-free zone, well, guess what? I'm gonna take that.
Hey, you know what they say? It's better to be judged by 12 men than carried out by 6.
Yeah, then it's that's kind of where I stand. I'm pretty sick of it. I think a lot of other people are. This is kind of going to go dark here in a second, but honestly, for me, paper's not going to turn this thing around. Trump's not going to turn this country around. Honestly, it's going to be shaking the tree that's going to turn this thing around.
I agree with that, John. I think just from my generation's perspective, there's a lot of polarization. There's a lot of us who, we have not been given, the strength that we need. A lot of us didn't have male role models. I had a very fortunate life that I had a wonderful father. I have a wonderful mother. And just the fact that a lot of people don't have motivation to fight something, to fight for something. Our generation, if I may say it, is searching for something. And for me, being in the areas that I've been in, I think part of it is discipline, but not just boarding school discipline. I think people misunderstand military discipline. It's to make yourself the best you can be so that you could protect the ones you love. It's about, it's not about violence. It's really not. And I'm sure you would agree. It's about the application of force to achieve the end result of security and peace. And I just don't think we have that mentality. In my generation, we're almost in a constant social war. It really is like a social war, like almost, like I don't want to say civil war because we're not there yet, but we definitely are war on social levels. And I'm sure you've seen the antisocial tendencies of people these days. They don't even know how to talk to each other. And if you can't even communicate, I'm sure you would agree. Communication in the military is life-saving. It's key. We can't even have people that can talk to each other civilly.
The thing is, you got to do it in person in the military.
Yes, exactly. Very true.
Hey, John, Peter, I'm the producer over here. I just wanted to jump on and say hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, good. Hey, I wanted to ask you, can you elaborate a little bit on that? Like when you're saying Trump shaking the trees, that intrigued me. I'd love to hear more.
So a lot of people say, again, people go, oh, Trump's going to save this. Trump's going to do this. Again, Trump's going to be great. But again, one man can't do it. One administration can't do it because everything has to start from the ground level, which is from every city, every county, every little town. And again, it's so messed up from the top down. And again, what they're trying to pass here in Colorado, which is supposed to be almost a blue state, it pretty much is.
It's Colorado. It will turn red one day again.
Go back. I'm gonna encourage you to go back to our episodes on our website and look up the Jay Valentine episode, and he will talk about what you just talked about. Colorado is not a blue state.
No,
Colorado is a red state, but we've got a lot of problems with our election system.
Got a lot of repression.
Keep going though. So yeah,
pushing and just here locally, pretty much trying to ban every single gun there is besides a revolver. or even some freaking muskets are pretty much being banned. That's how bad it is. When literally it says in the Constitution, "shall not be infringed." You look back at history of all of our founding fathers, every freaking one of them all of them wrote, even after that, said you have the right to own a gun. It should never be taken away, no matter. It didn't say, if it's a fully auto, if it was a cannon. I mean, you can own anything. Biden came out and said you couldn't own a cannon. Actually, yes, you can.
You could have.
Yep. You can own a tank if you want. You can own an F-16 if you want. Technically, I mean, if you can afford it, you can buy it.
You're not going to do much with it, but you can have it.
Yeah, you can fly. I mean, you can probably load it with some fun, full auto guns, but you probably ain't gonna bomb or anything unless you steal it.
And then the dirty little secret is that a lot of people don't talk about is that they're trying to create a backdoor gun registry.
They are.
Well, look at the credit cards. That's where they're going to do it from.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to do. Now, I don't think that's going to stand the test of a court. But at the same time, we've been in this mode here in Colorado since the Democrats took over, and we've got to get back control of the legislature, because this legislature is a runaway freight train when it comes to any kind of radical legislation that they feel that the state needs, and they don't care. I've been down to hearings to testify, and it's a joke. Half the time they're playing on their phone while you're testifying, or they get up and walk out. They're not there to listen to the people. They've got a preconceived notion of what they're going to do, and by God, nobody's going to stop them. And because of the numbers, nobody can stop them. But the people, I think, are going to be the answer. And like what you were saying, the problem is much more than Trump coming in and at least being a stopgap for some of the national things. But it's deep rooted in the local level that we've got to get control, because without that, we're not going to accomplish much.
Well, and to what John said, I want to tell you that I couldn't agree more. I think Andrew Breitbart said that politics is downstream from culture. That if we don't change the culture, we're never going to change people's votes. So I think gentlemen like you, who have been through something as historically significant as Benghazi, who holds the military traditions of this country, which has always kept us safe and free, to help inject that back into the younger generation, to say, look, do you want to be a wimp all your life? Do you want to have no character all your life? Or do you want to follow something and give your life to something that's going to lead you to higher places? I think that the country, and speaking from my generation, I think we're ready for that. I think we're ready for this kind of mobilization, not for a petty government, but for our people, for the people we love, for our town. I'm sure, John, that you love Colorado Springs, and I hope we can keep this place a fortress. I really hope we can.
Hey, John, what would you say? What would you say to the average American? I mean, going back to the Second Amendment, how well organized militias, the necessity of to secure a free state. Like, with everything that's going on, how would you recommend we prepare? Like, I mean, what's your advice? Just to there are so many patriots out there, right? I mean, mainstream media paints a different picture, but what would you say just to the average civilian on how to?
So, I started an organization called UADF, kind of pretty much here in Colorado, really, but it was pretty national. We were going out during all the whole, Love Me, Love Thou 2020, 2021, burning the cities and stuff, because they wanted a campfire to do the marshmallows. We were going out doing that, and that's just coming together and organizing, trying to get structured. And it wasn't really about being a militia. It was pretty much being a neighborhood watch on steroids. But when January 6th hit, again, everybody says they're a patriot, they're willing to sacrifice, they're willing to do this. My ass. 90% of everybody took off. Oath keepers are completely gone. 3%ers, they're pretty much completely gone, or they're completely underground because they're freaking scared, stuck underneath. So that's what I'm talking about. Nobody has any balls to keep standing up telling, I really don't care what you say, what you do. I didn't go away. I still stood up. We're still here. We're still out there.
Thank God for that.
People got scared and they ran. Oh, I don't want to be labeled a militia. I'm going to lose my job and I'm going to lose this. I'm like, this is the freaking problem in this nation.
Get a different job.
No, the thing is, screw that. Bring out, expose your business, expose the employer, just like what the left does.
There it is.
Exact same damn thing. Expose your employee. Man, what does it make a
Even
difference
better.
for this organization, to come together? How to band with your brothers and your sisters in this freaking country and be able to stand up for it against a radical government that's going on, that's trying to trash our rights, either if it's a First Amendment or Second Amendment. I mean, they're literally freaking trashing every right that we have, due process, even with freaking Trump. I mean, what they're doing to him it's mind-boggling. I mean,
Right.
You literally got no freaking criminal, no freaking crime. They still freaking find his ass. So, it's coming down. It's going to come down to everybody else eventually. It's just a matter of when. Unless we, again, stay together. Who cares what people label your organization?
Stay together.
Keep standing up and pushing out. Just like when I ran for mayor here, they tried to do the same thing, and I just pushed back. I don't give in. It's almost kind of like what Trump does. I don't really care what you think about me or what I'm doing, and I'm going to keep doing it. This is why I'm doing it. If you don't like it, go to hell.
Hoorah.
God, I forgot about you running for mayor. That's true.
Yeah.
And, that I would have loved to have been at some of your events, because you're my kind of guy. I mean,
You're a lot of fun, John. We've been enjoying you very much.
I've got friends.
It's just I don't hide who I am. Even they were doing one of our the debates, and it was like, I guess it was even live on the news or whatever. Anyways, and they gave us the last 1 minute to kind of spew why we should be the mayor. Well, they were doing the all family drag queen at the city auditorium in Colorado Springs. So I went off on about that. Like, why are we even allow this? You got city councilmen right here with us. Why are they allowing this? So, people are like, oh, you're just, we can't vote for you because you're just too mad. Hell yeah, I'm mad. I'm pissed off. I'm passionate. You got freaking you got dudes stripping for kids and doing sexual dances for freaking kids. Yeah. How does not piss you off? And how's the city supporting that? Well, it got canceled 3 days later after that.
Very nice.
So, but again,
very nice.
Stand where I stand. I don't care about actually getting elected. I'm gonna stand where I stand because it needs to be done.
Mm-hmm. Right. No, you're flavoring the country.
But people say, oh, you don't do this, you don't know how to do that. Like, then keep electing the same people that are screwing you over. Whatever. Right. That's pretty much what it's coming down to.
We need to elect strength. No, I couldn't agree more, John. Is that we need to be strong, uncompromising. We shouldn't be anyone else. I remember that in politics. I'm sure a lot of you remember Republican politics like that. Oh, we got to be nice. Where did that get us? Where did that put our children? Yep. No, I couldn't agree more. It's time to get ballsy.
A lot of politicians, they're freaking two-faced. They're out there, kissing your hands, kissing your babies, getting them lollipops, and then behind you, smacking and yelling and screaming.
Well, John, I think you might appreciate this.
What?
Yeah, Peter? I got one quick. One time in the Netherlands, things got so bad that they killed and ate their president. Like, killed and ate their prime minister. I think if politicians realize that that's a possibility, then yeah, they'd be a little bit more respectful towards their people. Not to that extreme, John, but I wish that people would hear your words.
Anything. They have no standard that they're held accountable to.
Well, we saw that in January 6th, as they went off running with gas masks rather than stay and be at the Capitol. Their post. They abandoned their post, even though people in history, they stayed it until their death. I couldn't agree more. We do have some real sissy politicians, and it's creating a sissy country.
Hey, John, so I think since COVID, since this whole dark wave has overswept this country in the last, 4 years, has really wakened a lot of people up. I mean, that's the blessing I see. It's kind of kicking awake the sleeping giant of the American spirit. Well, so you saw this a lot. I mean, you've been behind enemy lines with your story, your history with the Benghazi situation. What kind of insights and connections can you bring from how you saw our government respond in that particular situation to what's going on today? I mean, can you give us a little bit of insight on that? Like, being with what's going on, just to shed some light on what you see happening right now.
Honestly, is what I see is our government will come after us before they go after our actual enemies. That's what I see. I mean, the border is the prime example. January 6th is a prime example. Where they don't fear us. They would rather just take us out, and they are. They're taking us out one by one. People say, oh, they can't come get us all. Yeah, they can. They don't have to do it because they're not going to come in masses. They're going to do it one by one. And until we all wake up and come together, just like they're saying. So now they're not, instead of just arresting the people that went into the Capitol, they're going to start arresting the people on the Capitol grounds.
Wow.
So when's enough going to be enough? When we say, you know what, shake the tree and let it shed.
When we say it's enough, exactly.
Until then, they're going to keep doing what they're doing. They're going to keep sending billions of dollars to other nations while we freaking sit here and suffer. We pay more in taxes than pretty much any other country in the freaking world. But the reason why, we're freaking supporting the world.
Yeah.
Well, the world wants to wipe us out, but it's insane. I mean, when you die, you pay taxes just to freaking die now. Yeah. So when is enough? I mean, when are people going to wake up and just start really fighting back and pushing back to a point like stop paying taxes?
We're up against the clock, but I wanted to give you one last opportunity to leave our audience with a message. What would your message be to everyone listening tonight?
Well, I mean, I'll go back to one more thing about Benghazi.
Please.
Hillary Clinton, it wasn't her fault that no support came. Again, I know, but I liked about the truth, and everything needs to be the truth. It was our Bob, the chief of base, and Hush, our team leader, quit reporting the attacks. So that's why support got turned around, because they thought everything was done. Hush actually told them that because the medical bird was going to come probably about 1 a.m. or so. He told them, "No, we don't need you." And this is after our first attack on the annex, and also 17 Feb, which was the QRF, Quick Reaction Force, security force for the consulate, actually told freaking Bob weeks before, if anything ever happened, they weren't coming. Bob actually got a hold of him that night and said, before he actually let us leave, and told him we're not coming. That's why we were told to freaking stand down. So, there's proof that there was a stand down order given to us that night, because 17 Feb was never coming. So they had nobody coming for them to help the consulate except for us. And Bob freaking knew it. And he lied to us all freaking night about having zero communication with 17 Feb, because he knew they weren't coming. So did freaking Hush. So again, 4 Americans died because the CIA lied. I like to blame it on Hillary. So the initial assault on the consulate, yes, that's completely Hillary Clinton's fault, because that was the State Department. That was their job to keep them safe. But it was Bob and Hush that caused the death of 4 Americans, because they would have let us do our job. And if they would have did their job, we all would have got out of there alive. But other than that,
it wasn't just the head.
They're protecting each other. They're supporting each other until we come together. We stop fighting, even with the left and the right. I mean, those woke douchebags,
very true.
What to do about them? But it's those pretty much now the middle and the slight leaning left, and even the crazy right wingers and stuff. We got to band together and stop this craziness. We got to get back to paper ballots. Mail-in's not going to work. Machines ain't going to work. Kind of do the same thing they did over in Iraq. You go in, you put your freaking little finger in a dye jar, so they know you already freaking voted. You can't vote again.
Yeah.
And bring a voter ID. You should be an American citizen to vote for an American
government. Agreed. Couldn't agree more.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing you around the trail.
Absolutely, John.
I'm very. By the way, are you going to be going to the national convention by any chance?
Not that I'm aware of, and honestly, I hope not. But
okay.
I'm going to be.
Well, I'm going. That's what I was asking.
We're going to be stuck there.
It's going to be
here in July, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Well, thank you very much for coming on tonight. Our guest has been John Tiegen, hero of Benghazi, among others, and we want to thank you very much for your insights and giving us your perspective on a few other topics. But we wish you the best. God bless, and tell Priscilla hi. We'll see you around.
Thank you, John. We had a fantastic time.
Good night.
Yeah, thank you, John.